Welcome back to the OKC Foodcast, your guide to the food in Oklahoma. Today, I'm joined with another special guest, Benjamin Nockels with Waytable. If you haven't heard about this fantastic program, like I just said, it's fantastic and it's doing a lot of good for the local community here in our city. So we'll get to that in just a second, but before that, we always have to talk about the favorite thing that we ate this week. So, Benjamin, why don't you kick us off and tell us what your favorite thing you ate this week was?
That's fun. The favorite thing I ate this week probably is not a far departure from my regular intake, but my friends at Good Egg, they have curbside going on at Iron Star. And so in an attempt to kind of support local restaurants in the vein of Waytable, we went to Iron Star last week, and they have a fantastic Cobb salad with smoked turkey, and it was absolutely delightful. I recommend eating it with your fingers.
That's the best way to enjoy food because then you get to lick your fingers afterwards.
Right? Yeah. I'm on a eat salad with my fingers kick. It's quite lovely. So,
so that's funny.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing I've eaten in the past week.
Nice. So with your fingers, do you then put your dressing on the side and dip into it, or do you mix it all up and just go at it?
No, I go for it, man. So if you said takeout, so it's like, yeah, it's apply the dressing about half the amount they give you because too much dressing, and then it's just drowning in it. So about half the dressing, put it in the to-go container, right? Close it back up, shake the absolute hell out of it, and then crank it open and just go to town.
Nice, that's fantastic.
Must have wine. Wine goes with eating with your fingers, right? So,
reduces inhibition.
Yeah, this is true.
That's awesome. I don't think I've had salad with my fingers yet, so I'll have to try it. I have eaten a lot of foods with fingers though, so I'm well accustomed to that.
That's amazing. It's a good way to eat. I'm more of a grazer than anything else, so I think that's part of why I like eating salad with my fingers so much. Is I like to just eat a little bit throughout the day, right? It's like make a cheese board, some smoked salmon or whatever the case may be, and just kind of pick at it all day long.
Yeah, keep snacking.
That's exactly right.
I like it. My favorite thing that I ate this week, our good friend of the pod, Gabriel Lewis. He is a private chef and a previous MasterChef contestant. He is preparing meals and delivering them to people. And so this week he was making a Cajun chicken pasta, which he smoked the chicken and then finished the pasta by smoking that as well. And it was accompanied with grilled vegetables and a garlic bread. And man, I gotta tell you, that chicken was so good.
Sounds amazing.
It was so good. Yeah, and he's doing this kind of delivering meals, just because everything that he did was so event based, and no one's doing events, obviously. So he's trying to just supplement some income while he can.
Well, I can appreciate, the pivot and the innovation, and also, can really kind of commiserate with just the tough time of, like we're going to get to eventually, like just the tough time that people in hospitality are facing right now. So I'll have to take him up on one of those delivered chef meal. That sounds pretty fantastic.
Yeah. He was offering two things. He was offering this pasta, and then he was also doing ribs. I opted for the pasta, so we'll see what he puts up next time. I think he usually has a couple of different options that he throws out there for people to be able to order. So his Instagram handle for everyone out there is _Gabriel Lewis, and it's got all his info. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that I tried Burger Punk for the first time this week as well.
You know
Um,
what? So did I.
oh, you did?
Yeah.
What did you get from them?
I'm probably like pretty old school, so I think I did the OG. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah, the OG
Which,
Punk, that's
yeah,
exactly what I got.
yeah, just pretty standard. The best part is I didn't have to like hold the tomato. I never get tomato on my burger, and the OG doesn't come with tomato. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So,
And I like trying the baseline burger before I jump into anything crazy, their creations. But
yeah,
I was a little
that's
sad that I
smart.
had to try it to go because I would love to have it at the restaurant when it's back open.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that
I
experience would be just a little different.
Yeah, I felt that too. I mean, I appreciate again, that's another I appreciate all the things that Rachel and her food group have done, I mean, they have some great concepts out there. But yeah, I like the innovation of kind of mashing up Revolution and Burger Punk kind of in this
Yes.
climate, and appreciate them doing that. But yeah, I'm with you. It's like I'll look forward to kind of eating it, there in the Paseo area. I mean, to-go fries are just never going to be what they need to be, right?
Right.
Uh,
Although they stayed a little crisp, which I was surprised.
yeah.
Which is fantastic. And their burger tasted fantastic. Like I really, really liked it. So I'm looking forward to
No.
trying it again.
Yeah.
One of the best things about it was it didn't fall apart.
Yep.
It stayed together while I ate it, which I appreciate because a lot of times
Yeah.
things slide and you're left with, more bun than meat and it just gets
Yeah.
disproportionate, but this one stayed together really nicely.
Yeah. I can attest to that because, as I mentioned before we started recording, like, I do most of life on foot, and so I actually had it last night, and I walked several blocks to Revolucion there, Sixth and Classen, and ate my burger on the way back home, like on my walk. And so I had a dog in tow, dog leash in one hand, and a burger in the other. So I can attest to the fact that the burger had nice structure and didn't fall apart
That's
at
awesome.
all. Yeah.
That's
What do
the
you think of
ultimate
the
test.
bun? Yeah, right. Yeah, can you drag a 120-pound Pyrenees through Midtown and eat a burger with the other hand and it stay intact, right?
That's funny. That's awesome.
What'd you think of was it a pretzel bun of sorts? I thought the bun was delicious.
I thought the bun was really good too, and I think that had a huge role to play in the fact that it stayed so well together.
Yeah, no pun intended, had a nice role to play, right? The
Nice
bun
rolls,
had a nice
exactly.
role to play, yeah. And the punk sauce, what did you think of the punk sauce? I assume it's a ketchup mayonnaise mashup of some kind. I don't know.
Yeah, I assumed it was one of those mixes. It was a good sauce. I think I'd want to try it by itself just to get like the full flavor of it.
Yeah,
But I mean everything in that burger just worked really well together. So from the bun
I
to the sauce
agree.
to everything, it was just very well put together.
Yeah, I thought so too. Love it.
Let's get into Waytable,
Yeah.
this fantastic initiative. But before that, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and kind of your background and what got you pushed towards food and Waytable.
For sure. So, like all of us, long story short, so much you could say about each of our lives and how we got where we've gotten to. But for me, I think, a couple of high points. Oklahoma City is home for me. So born and raised here. Left for a short time through college in New Mexico and then Um, Colorado after that. And so I had the opportunity, to spend some time elsewhere, and then through work really had the opportunity to move anywhere in the country that I wanted to begin kind of starting some new organizations. And I felt like I wanted to come home. And at first I felt guilty about that because it's like, you're supposed to set off and go do these grand things and, um, extravagant places. So as I processed through, like, why do I want to come home? It was like, really wasn't a return to safety or familiarity. It was really a desire to make some kind of an impact in a place, and to really serve a city. And I didn't know how to serve a city that I didn't really first love. And so the way I feel about Oklahoma City is it transcends, really the material. Even though I love all that we've added, to the landscape over the last, 20 years. I just have a deep love for this place and a real strong desire to serve it. And so I came home, and when I did, I grew up on like the far northwest side of Oklahoma City. Like, we didn't venture any further south than Northwest Expressway, legitimately. And so when I came home, we moved into Gatewood in 2007. So we were on 18th Street in between Kentucky and Virginia, and right across the street from St. Francis, this fantastic Catholic church and the Rosary School, and just this wonderful historic neighborhood. And we just immersed ourselves really in the most urban context that Oklahoma City had to offer at the time. And it was really as the Plaza District was coming online, and there were just very few local offerings there at all. Collected Thread was there, DNA Gallery was there. Jason and Jenny Duncan, who started Cafe Vogue, were doing catering out of the plaza, a few people like that. But it was really the early days. And I don't fancy myself a pioneer of, taste or culture in this town, but I got to witness those who are up close and really watch, the renewal of this town, take place, from the front row, and hopefully got to contribute to it in some small part. So I love this town, man, and that's really the most important thing about me. And so everything that I do personally or professionally is really rooted in, how do we make Oklahoma City the best place to live for all people? And I've been really fortunate to get to do that in some really, I think, significant ways. So yeah, I have 3 daughters, 17, 13, 11. They're amazing. They're better humans. They're better humans than I am. We do life together here in Midtown, and it's really quite grand.
Man, that is awesome. I love that passion behind the city that you love that essentially drives everything that you do. So
Yeah,
it's great.
I think it's it's not. I think everybody needs to be able to answer the question, why do I live where I live, right? Whether it's a city, a community, a neighborhood, a house, like, I think context, really matters, and we need to be able to answer that. We need to be able to answer that question, in my opinion, if we want to actually like faithfully serve and contribute to a place rather than just kind of take from it and consume, right? So
I agree, and that was one of the reasons of starting this podcast was just in a little way expose some of the great food and the great people that we have living here in Oklahoma, serving the community. And I think that question is big. Why do you live where you live? And I think that gives a lot of people motivation, and that's why people volunteer, and that's why people do things. I think it's at the basis of who we are.
yeah, I agree. And for me, the impetus for a lot of the things that I've been able to help create is it's rooted in that. It's let's create the thing that we wished existed, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I think that's what we have the opportunity to do, whether it's through food or business or neighborhood or family. It's like, create the thing that you wished existed in the world. Like, create the family you wish you were a part of. Like, create the restaurant that you'd love to go support. For me, it was, create the bookstore that everyone in my neighborhood is asking for. It's like, so on and so forth. Same with the market. It's like, people have been asking downtown for a bookstore and a grocery store for the 12 years that I've lived here, and it's like, nobody's done it yet. So kind of me and my buddies are just kind of like, hell, I guess we'll do it. Like, we have no idea what we're doing, but like, let's create the thing we all wished existed in the world. And we're kind of just like foolish enough to branch out and do it. And everybody in the community is gracious enough to come along for the ride and support it.
That's awesome. So for the people that don't know that are listening, we're talking about commonplace books here. The bookstore, the kitchen, and the market.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, all three concepts right there underneath the edge along Walker. And kind of to further my kind of point about just kind of the lifestyle we've created here in Midtown, it's like I live in that building as well. So it's almost kind of this live work space for me in a lot of ways, and it kind of has very kind of old world shopkeeper sensibilities about it, where we almost quite literally live on top of our shop, so we get to invest heavily in it. And it's always, it's about serving people. It's not about like doing market analysis. It's like, I am our market, right? Like, my neighbors are our patrons. It's like, we don't have to like try to get inside of anybody's head and be slick or smooth about it. It's just like, we're just create what we wished existed. And guess what? If you're natural and true and intuitive to that, like, in turn, you'll be creating something that somebody else wished existed too. And it will be equally intuitive and natural for them to put it to use.
Right.
So anyway, I digress. We're not here to talk about my wacky small business philosophies.
But that's how things come to be. And that's how I assume Waytable came to be, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's this kind of thing that's happened in me, over the years is, I've realized more and more, like, I'm a starter. I like to be on the front end of things. I'm not suggesting like I'm a inventor or a true pioneer or innovator or anything like that, but like, I like to start things, and I like to start things with people. And to me, the most important thing is not necessarily the originality of an idea, because there are a lot of ideas out there that are original, but typically it's not the person who bursts the idea who brings it into being. And so that's very much the case with kind of Waytable is, my friend Matt Wills, several years ago, he went to Dallas with his wife for, I guess the term is a baby moon. So it's like, one last trip before, you have your first kiddo or whatever. And so Matt and Bettina, they went to Dallas. They stayed at the Jewel, which is a fantastic hotel if people are not familiar with the Jewel, downtown Dallas. And it has a fantastic bar. I'm spacing the name of it. It has a fantastic bar in the basement. It's one of those hotels, like, once you're on site, you almost like don't need to leave other than like there's other great stuff to go see. But Matt and Bettina were at the Jewel. They were looking for a place to eat, and Matt jumped on Yelp, and there was a restaurant in the immediate area called Cafe Momentum that had like great reviews and was within walking distance. So they just like walked over to Cafe Momentum, just thinking they were going to like go get a good bite to eat. And what they learned through their dining experience was that this was not like your typical restaurant. Even though it was chef-driven, was award-winning, was getting great reviews for kind of the quality and craft, that it was putting forth. The story behind all of that was the staff and the team, outside of the adults and the chef and some of the management, they were teenagers, 14 to 18-year-olds, who had been involved in the juvenile justice system. And so that's who's waiting on you, are these young men and women that have touched the justice system. So there's so much I could say that I'll skip for now. But my buddy Matt was like very touched by his experience and the stories of these young people. And he came home, and this was like 3 or 4 years ago. He came home to Oklahoma City, and he kind of just tucked it away, and as something that he would like to be a part of in some form or fashion one day. And so Matt came to me just because, I'm kind of a misfit in that regard, and I like to instigate, good causes and worthwhile initiatives. And so Matt came to me about probably a year ago, and was like, "Hey man, I'm a pretty straight-laced dude," which he is. He's brilliant, but straight-laced. I'm pretty buttoned up myself. I have a little or a lot of Mr. Rogers in me, to be quite honest. So he came to me, and Matt said, "I'm a pretty straight-laced guy." He said, I feel like at the end of my life, there aren't going to be very many things I regret doing. He said, but I think that there might be a couple things I regret not doing. And bringing a restaurant like Cafe Momentum that addresses a pressing social issue to Oklahoma City is something I would regret not doing. And I was like, count me in. I don't know what I'm saying yes to, but count me in. If you've got a passion like that and you want to make your life meaningful in that kind of way, like, I'm here to help you do that. And so Matt rounded up some amazing people, Andrew Rice being one of them, Keith Paul, who I've already referenced Good Egg and Iron Star, but Keith Paul, and then like a whole host of others. We built a board, we incorporated, and we started raising some money, and we were going to launch a new restaurant in Oklahoma City in the urban core that rivaled any other dining experience in town. And we were going to staff it with young people who had touched the justice system. So we went through a branding process, a board development process. We were raising money. We were actively looking for a location. When really, over the last year, the restaurant market, the food market in Oklahoma City has been a lot more soft than people realize. And we just kind of kept wrestling with, is this the right time? There's so many new concepts. There's really a oversaturation of kind of new food concepts in Oklahoma City at the time. Keith, being like a seasoned veteran, was cautioning us, hey, I don't know if this is the time to launch something new. There's a lot of competition. Everybody's stretched pretty thin. People are hurting a lot more than you might realize, so on and so forth. So we had kind of put it on pause, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of last year, beginning of this year, we had kind of like hit pause on further developing Waytable as it was originally intended to be. So I need to speed way up. So then like COVID-19 happens, right? And all of these declarations are being made, and it's the smart, right, safe thing to do to shut down dining rooms, this, that, and the other, go to curbside, take out only, all of that. So, I mean, you have an entire industry and all of its labor force, and the economic engine that it is, for so many, just, and again, across industry, but we're talking about this industry, came to a screeching halt overnight. Right. I'll use Good Egg as an example because it's what I know best because of my friendship with Keith. Keith, Good Egg had to furlough 400 people. Oh man. They had 12 restaurants. Only 4 of them are operating today in kind of the curbside pickup fashion. And those that are operating curbside they're only doing like 10 to 15% of their typical revenue, right? So no,
That
I mean,
is,
the
yeah, that's the reality that I don't think people
that's the
might
reality.
grasp.
Everybody. I mean, again, I think some people do, but it's not just like all fun and games. Like, oh, I can get Cheever's takeout now, and oh, I can get, Burger Punk and Revolucion out of the same, front door now. It's like these businesses are like they're hemorrhaging people, which is the most important thing, and they're hemorrhaging money. And like the curbside thing is amazing, and everybody who's being very conscious and thoughtful to support local in this way, like it's amazing, but it's just a drop in the bucket, and most of these concepts, the only reason they're doing curbside at all, it really doesn't make any economic sense whatsoever. It's really an act of sacrifice, and it's a labor of love for their employees. So I'll go back to Good Egg. It's like the four concepts that they do have open, they've got 35 people employed, and they're doing curbside in the attempt to just support those 35, people and their families.
Mhm.
So I mean, so that's the reality that we're attempting to address with Waytable. Is all of these restaurants and restaurateurs, like, and these families and these staffs, and it's front of house, it's back of house, right? It's servers, it's prep cooks. I mean, it's janitors, it's maintenance. I mean, it's like you name it. Like it is very far reaching. And so for us, like, we kind of took like our little bit of kind of restaurant experience that we collectively had, and a lot obviously that Keith brought to the table. And we were like, how do we leverage this nonprofit that we've got that hadn't even gotten off the ground yet? How do we leverage that for good in this kind of moment in our city's history? And so for us, we thought, okay, we feel like we have a relational network where we can leverage restaurants, pull them together, and then leverage what they do best, which is create beautiful, delicious food. And we can raise money from the community, which is what we've done. We can raise money from the community to buy food from these restaurants that is then going to be delivered to hospitals, to tell our medical workers, our nurses, our doctors, our janitors, our administrators, our staffs in the hospital space, how much we love, appreciate, and support them at this time. So for us, we targeted medical workers because we really want to help get food to the most vulnerable populations. And right now, those that are sick, whether it's with this virus or are already in the hospital and experiencing kind of the stress and strain of a system that was not built to handle this kind of a issue,
Mm-hmm.
that those medical workers who are caring for the most vulnerable would be supported and loved and cared for in this time. So what I love about Waytable is its dual purpose. It's like we get to simultaneously pay a full and fair wage to our local restaurants who are in desperate need, and then they get to go do what they do best, again, which is prepare beautiful, delicious food and give it to people who are working long, hard, stressful hours, in the midst of a circumstance this country and this, global community has never faced before.
Yeah, I think that is such a cool synergistic concept where, you, like you said, you're supporting those local restaurants, and with that support, you're also encouraging and supporting the healthcare workers who are on the front lines of this pandemic that we're facing.
That's right.
Uh, I think that that's such a it's a really cool holistic approach to this problem, right? There's a solution for the restaurants, but there's also good coming from the encouragement. Just
Yeah.
it, at the end of the day, for the healthcare workers there and the hospitals that you're partnering with, just fact that someone's thinking about him and thanking them in such a way, probably goes above and
Yeah.
beyond you could even imagine. And then on the flip side, to the restaurants that you're supporting, you know, any like you were saying, people who are even doing curbside and takeout, their sales have gone down to about 15% of what they used to be. So every little bit helps, and you know,
Yeah. No,
the,
it's a big deal for them, right?
yeah,
And these are not small orders. I mean, so we've partnered with, and man, if I could rattle down the list, like if you think of a restaurant out there, especially the ones like in the urban core, they're participating with us. Last count, I think there were probably 25 or 30 different restaurants that
nice.
said, we want to participate in Waytable. We want to help get food to medical workers. And the beautiful thing is, and in so doing, they're going to get a lot of support. These are small orders. Typically the minimum is like 50. We've got one going out, later this week. It's 135, servings to, I think it's to Mercy. Is that where the 135 goes? So we've got Mercy on board, OU on board, Saints on board, Integris on board. So it's really fun to like kind of engage these restaurants in this way, let them keep doing what they love, and do a lot of good and have some fun in the meantime. So if you're participating restaurant in Waytable, I won't even try to rattle you all off. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're doing a good and beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. So I'll say
Yeah.
thank you as well to everyone who is participating in this program. So,
It's it's kind of one more thing. It's kind of like that makes me think of like, have you guys seen like every night at 7 o'clock in New York City, people take to their stoops and their balconies and they open their windows and they just like clap and shout and bang pots and sometimes like sing as a way to say thank you to the medical workers on the front lines.
oh, that's awesome.
You know,
I haven't seen that, but that's cool.
it's amazing, and again, in New York, it's obviously it's a very urban context. It's a very densely populated place. And again, tragically, 700 and 800 people are dying, from this virus every single day. So, I mean, their frontline workers are just absolutely on the like very, very front lines. And they're doing
Hmm.
this amazing act of solidarity as a community and support for the medical workers. And I think this is our version of that. Like, we didn't set out to emulate that, but this is our version of that. Like, in a time where we as people are isolated and being asked to distance ourselves from one another for the good of the whole, we need opportunities to still come together. And that doesn't have to be in a physical form, but we need acts of solidarity that remind us that we're not alone, right? And so for us, that's what Waytable is. It's like one giant act of solidarity to remind each and every person, whether you own a local restaurant or you're a medical worker, out there working a long shift, is like you're not alone. And food has a beautiful ability to do just that. Food has an ability to draw us together in beautiful ways. We think that gathering around the table is a radical act in our day and age, one we need to do more of, whether it's in our homes or in a restaurant. And so again, I'll just say it one more time, like, this is about reminding people that they're not alone and connecting people together in meaningful and lasting ways. And that's what we're up to.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone could have said it better than that. And I mean, food does have such a unique and amazing connective power that it holds. And yeah, using that as a vessel to thank people and remind them, I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's such a great mission. So how, I'm sure our listeners some of them might have been aware of this before. Some of them are getting to learn about this now. How can people out there support you and push this cause further so that you can support more restaurants and then in turn support more healthcare workers as well?
Yeah. So the most simple thing that people can do right now is go to waytable.org. So waytable.org, and that's a word we made up, Waytable, WAYTABLE.org. And that immediately redirects you to our GoFundMe page, where we are actively trying to raise $75,000 to fund, this meal program. So we've been at this we launched this into the world 12 days ago is all. So we're not even 2 weeks old. So we've organized, I think, not to pat ourselves on the back, very well, very quickly, and pivoted kind of the organization in this direction. And so in the last 12 days, we've had 153 different people donate almost $54,000.
Wow.
And 100% of the proceeds, there's no administration whatsoever. This is just a band of guys who love each other and love this town and are trying to do some good. Like, there's nobody, this is nobody's job. Like, we're just a group of friends. And so 100% of the proceeds go directly to buying meals at a full price, which is important, at a full price. And then that food goes directly to medical workers. So, at this time, there's not like a real tangible, come volunteer. It's not a donate food. It's not a come, stack lunches. It's like really the best thing people can do at this time. And it's a simple system, but it's a really powerful one is donate. And I would just say, no amount is too small. We've had everything from $10 donations to $10,000 donations. And so each meal is priced at about $12. So if you can give $12, that gives a medical worker, number one, it gives a restaurant the ability to do what they do, and it'll give a medical worker on the front lines, not just a okay meal, but some of the best meals this town has to offer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Fuzzies, Elemental, Cafe 7, Burger Punk is actually on there. We talked about them. The Good Egg concepts that I've mentioned, social order dining collective concepts. We've got, sauce. We've got, I could go on and on and on. I mean, it's some of the best food this town has to offer. They're participating. So go to waytable.org, make a donation,
It helps support the cause. So, you only launched 12 days ago and you made significant headway in raising the $75,000. That's your goal. What happens when you reach $75,000? Are you going to, maybe extend the campaign and keep this going?
Yeah.
Because we don't know
So
how long this whole situation is going to
Yeah.
last, right?
Yeah, that's phase one. So kind of our phase one goal is at 75,000. Our plan is to provide 1,000 meals over the next 6 weeks, and then see where we're at, right? So for us, where we anticipate it going is, yes, we want to continue to support medical workers, but we also want to begin to look to other vulnerable populations as well, and see how we can leverage the same model of donate, ask the community to donate, to keep our restaurants working, and then take that food and get it in the hands of people who need it most. And so that's really the direction that we're headed, and we're certainly not going to abandon or walk away from our medical workers, but we're gonna begin to look for other populations that we can serve as well. Now for us, it's we don't want to be redundant, so where other people are being served through other programs, great. But we feel like what's different about what we're up to is that it's supporting the restaurants as well. Like I heard, this is going to sound a little bit tacky. I don't mean it that way, but like I heard about a similar. I won't tell you the town, but I heard about a similar program in another city not far from here, about our size, and they were in name supporting local restaurants. But really what they were doing is they were really just using them for like facility and labor force, because they were only paying them like $2.50 per meal. So number one, it's like $2.50. Like what does that support like per meal, right? I mean, that's not a full fair wage for anything. And then secondly, it's like, what kind of food are you delivering to vulnerable populations, for that low of a price? And so for us, this is not like, how do we get peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, fruit cups and string cheese to as many people as possible? Like, that's not our goal. That's not our objective. And so again, I think I just want to reiterate that dual purpose of like, no matter where we pivot and no matter who we serve, we're going to keep serving our local restaurants along the way.
So if you haven't done so yet, head on to waytable.org and check out this fantastic cause. And while you're there, if you can, donate to the cause and help support our local restaurants, and with that, our healthcare workers as well.
Love it.
Benjamin, thank you so much for being on this podcast and taking the time out of your obviously extremely busy schedule of everything that you do.
My life is leisurely, man.
That's a fantastic outlook.
Yeah, it's the appearance of busy. I don't try to keep up that appearance that it looks busier than it is. I have a very leisurely life. I've built it that way by design. So
nice.
I'm very fortunate.
Good. That is awesome. Before we wrap up, though, we have to do what's probably my favorite segment, is the kitchen sink. Just a bunch of fun questions that we ask all guests that come on the podcast to, get to know a little bit more about them. So, are you ready
the
for
kitchen sink? Yeah. Are you gonna play too, or is this just me?
It's usually just the guest, but if you want, I will join in.
Yeah. Well, we both got to talk about the favorite thing we've eaten this week, so I didn't know if we both got to talk about the kitchen sink too. But no, fire away. I'll see what I can do.
Alrighty. So the first question: what is the strangest thing that you've eaten?
Oh gosh, man, what comes to mind when I was a kid? I don't know why. We used to eat peanut butter, pickle, and mayonnaise sandwiches.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? And every once in a while, I like think I'm craving it, like as an adult. And then I'm like, hell no, I'm not eating that. Like, but no, we ate them like, that was not like a dare. I mean, like we ate peanut butter, pickle, and mayonnaise sandwiches like it was peanut butter and jelly or whatever. I mean, it was like a on the reg kind of a thing.
So have you tried one as an adult?
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, it's just creepy, I guess. Like mayonnaise and peanut butter, just like, I don't know, the consistencies of those two things. Like one's very like thick and creamy, and one's like very like whipped and airy, and it's creepy. It's like a science experiment in your mouth gone wrong.
It's like, what am I eating right now?
Yeah. It's like there are better things to eat, like Burger Punk and Iron Star. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You've really got me curious now. I'm like, I wonder how that would be.
Yeah. Yeah, you should, one of your episodes, you should take all of the like strangest things your guests have eaten, and you and your co-host should like eat them live.
Oh, that is
offer commentary on them.
That would be both hilarious and a little scary.
Wouldn't it? Yeah. That'd be a hell of an episode.
That would. I can't wait to have my co-host back
Yeah. You're
All right,
doing
next.
just fine.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question. What is your favorite snack food?
Favorite snack food? I have to go with Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its are my kryptonite.
All right. That's a repeat star of snack foods.
So
There are a
yeah,
few
it's
people who like Cheez-Its. I think Ashley's favorite snack food is Cheez-Its as well, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. So I was a purist until about a week ago, right? So, like they've kind of gone crazy with Cheez-Its. They've done like, Monterey Jack and white cheddar, and they've made
Oh
them
yeah,
really big,
and the
and they've
jalapeno
like,
jack.
yeah, it's like, so I was like a total Cheez-It purist until like 2 weeks ago. I was like, don't mess with my Cheez-Its. Like, give me the original ones. Like, that's it. But now, like, with all the like grocery craziness that's happening, like, they've been out of regular Cheez-Its. So I've been forced to buy. Have you seen the toastier version? I think they're like
Yeah,
Cheez-It toastier.
oh, I have seen those. Just like extra crispy.
Yeah, it's basically like a box of burned Cheez-Its, right? Uh, you know how like every box of regular Cheez-Its has some that are a little overdone, right? So
Right.
they've taken all the overdone ones, right, and they've made entire boxes of burned Cheez-Its. And what's amazing is like I think they've made a believer out of me as ashamed of that as I am as a Cheez-It purist. I think the toastier ones might actually be better.
Really? Have
Yeah, I
you
know.
have you tried the Cheez-Its?
I feel heretical at this point, but
Have
go
you tried
ahead.
the Cheez-Its snapped?
The Cheez-It what?
Snapped.
No, see that's where Cheez-It loses me right there, man. Like just keep them Cheez-Its.
Those, so I tried those and those were bad. I actually enjoyed them quite a bit. Now, I would say I still probably like the regular Cheez-Its,
All
but
right.
the snapped were, I don't know, they were pretty good. I'd be curious to see what you think as a Cheez-Its aficionado
Yeah,
when you
that's
try them.
true. Yeah, that's how lowbrow I am right there, man. I'm like, give me a box of like most evenings sitting beside me on the couch is a box of Cheez-Its and a bottle of wine.
Hey man,
So
wine and
they,
cheese,
they
that's perfect.
they pair nicely together. My sommelier friend Eric Baruman is rolling his eyes somewhere right now, but wine and Cheez-Its is an evening well spent.
I mean, you're taking the shortcut of not putting cheese on crackers. It's already there. It's Cheez-Its.
See, and the box says that it's made with 100% real cheese. If anybody believes that, so
And they take their time to mature the cheese, right? As they say. So
yes, it's very it's aged. Definitely is aged.
that's funny.
Oh
Oh well.
God.
All right, climbing out of the Cheez-It rabbit hole.
Yeah, we were deep, dude. We were deep.
Yeah. What is your favorite food show or movie?
Oh man. I'm gonna like take a little different take on that one. I don't know if I have a favorite food show or movie. I'd love a recommendation or two. But what I do love is the New York Times cooking um, section is like I don't know. To me, it's as good as a show or movie could be. So I find a lot of entertainment
Nice.
from that section of the time. So you have to give me a couple of like must watch food shows or movies. I've got some time on my hands, and Netflix is doing just fine these days. So,
Man, there's so my standard ones that I watch all the time are MasterChef and Top Chef.
okay,
And I recently found like one Alton Brown is doing a reboot of Good Eats, which is always interesting to get to know a little bit more about the science behind the food that you eat.
yeah,
But one of the shows that he started right now is called Pantry Raid, and
okay,
it is centered around kind of the situation that we're in, like we're locked at home, raiding our pantries, And so he's going through making popcorn and French onion dip, and the way it's filmed and the way it's done is just really, really good. So I would say go watch Pantry Raid. There's only a few episodes, so it won't last you too long, but that's one of my new
Okay.
favorites right now.
Love it. You mentioned popcorn, and it makes me think of one time my dad went on a popcorn diet. He lost a ton of weight only eating popcorn.
That is amazing.
Oh, it was the most hilarious thing I may have witnessed in my parents' home. So,
So did he have different flavors of popcorn, or was it the same?
oh no, of course it was the same. He would stand in front of the microwave and pop bag after bag of microwavable popcorn.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
That's
it
funny.
was there was nothing gourmet about it. It was amazing. I've never
That's
seen anybody
awesome.
lose 50, I've never seen anybody lose 50 pounds quicker.
Hey, man, that's impressive. That in itself
Yeah, something like that.
makes all the popcorn worth it. Oh, and I would also watch if you haven't done so yet, Binging with Babish. That's a lot of fun to
Okay.
watch.
All right. I love it. Do you have a favorite food movie?
Ooh, that's a tougher question.
It's your question, my friend.
Well, I usually ask the questions, not answer
Yeah, like I told you from the outset, I have the gift of gab, so I'm going to eventually start asking the questions, right? If we do this long enough.
I think two come to mind. Julie and Julia.
I thought of that one. It's really cute, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a little relatable in the sense of cooking the foods that you don't know, but really just powering
Yeah.
through and cooking them. Because a lot of times we shy away from that, right? Even when I'm cooking right now, I'll be like, I've never cooked that before. Maybe I'll just cook this that I know how to do.
Yeah.
So
No, that's right.
I really like that aspect of that. And then the next one that came to mind was the 100-foot journey.
Okay, I don't know that one.
It is, it's where there is a Michelin star or two Michelin star restaurant that's in like a little countryside of France, and this Indian family moves into the house across the street, and they used to own an Indian restaurant, so they start an Indian restaurant across the street. And it's like the story of how they interact, and the son that's a aspiring chef or is a chef, how he kind of melds the two together. Kind of, it was a good movie.
Yeah, it sounds like a good one.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, next question. What country or region do you think has a food scene or culture that you're most drawn to, and why?
This is so dumb. The stuff that's coming to my mind is so bizarre. Um,
Roll
the
with
the
it.
food the food scene or culture that I'm most drawn to. You asked that question, and what comes to my mind is I'm drawn to this small little house over in Belle Isle where Chris and Trisha Castro live. If anybody follows my friend Chris Castro on Instagram, he's Omar Chris on Instagram. Like his like meals of Corona thing that he has going on right now is like next level. It's like I wish Postmates would just be able to go to Chris's house and bring us whatever it is that he's making, baking, sautéing, you name it, he's doing it, and it's like some magic. So that's the food scene and culture that I'm drawn to. It's not too far from here. It's just across town over in Belle Isle. It's the magic that the Castro clan is got cooking up over there.
Nice. That's kind of cool.
Oh, he's a
Did,
whiz.
so he just has a little more time on his hands and has started documenting his food journey. Is that what
Well,
happened?
I mean, Chris is like, yeah, I mean, he's been documenting his food journey for years. No formal training. He just has a deep love for food. Um, Grew up in California. His family's from Mexico, and they just they grew up cooking as a family, and he's just continued it on as an adult on his own and through college and through his marriage with Trisha, and now they're 3 kiddos, and he's a dear friend, and he's a rare talent. So his meals of Corona thing is pretty fantastic. So
That's awesome.
that's where I want to be right now. And why is because it's 7:45 and I didn't have lunch or dinner yet. So why is I'm hungry? Let's eat.
All right, let's do it. Well, I got one final question for you before we wrap
All
up. What is your favorite restaurant in Oklahoma City?
Oh gosh, this is again where I'm just going to show my simplicity and how I eat in a rut. So I probably go to 1492 3 times a week, and
Nice.
I eat one of the 2 same things. Like, to me, 1492 is it's like kind of my it's my cheers. Like, I walk in there and I don't have to order anything. They just say hi by name. They greet my children by name. They ask me if I want a skinny margarita or not, and am I having a salad or am I having fajitas? That's the only thing they need to know. Am I drinking alcohol? And do I want a chicken fajita salad or do I want chicken fajitas? Right. So that's the extent of that. So I love what they do there. Even more than that, I love the people. They are like family to me, and they've served my neighborhood for a really long time. 1492 has been here in Midtown for almost 13 years. And so they were really true pioneers in a lot of ways. Like, they came to Midtown and started serving great food long before Midtown was cool. And it's a small family-owned establishment that I think deserves our support, not just because they have a great offering, but deserves our support because they're a great family and a wonderful establishment. So that's my favorite place to eat on the reg. Of course, there's wonderful fine dining out there that we all get to do on occasion, and there's wonderful new restaurants that we all love to try. But I have kind of this warm spot in my heart right now for the places that have been here a long time, and they're not just a flash in the pan. They've been here a long time. They've done it the right way. They've taken good care of their people. And those are the ones that are going to be here for a long time to come. So they deserve my support, and I gladly give it.
For sure. And 1492 is a fantastic spot. I like the fajitas from there as well. So
Yeah.
you're talking my language with fajitas.
Yeah.
Well, Ben,
Agreed.
thank you so much for being on the podcast and again taking the time out and talking about Waytable, which, as a reminder, go to waytable.org, check out that fantastic program, and donate to the cause if you're able to. Ben, anything else that we've missed out on?
No, I would just underscore kind of the whole premise and basis for this conversation of Waytable is like, in whatever form or fashion we can, whether it's takeout or a home cooked meal, let's gather around the table. What we always say is when we find our way to the table, we find our way home. And so in a time where we are in desperate need of connection with one another and to feel that sense of home and place and belonging, let's allow the power and magic of food to do what it does best.
Perfectly said. And with that, if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button so you know when the next episode is released. And if you have nothing else to do, go back and listen to the 50 other episodes that we have that share the story of some fantastic food and some fantastic chefs and people in the city of Oklahoma. Share this podcast with a friend or a fellow food lover. Give them something to do during this time of staying at home. And as always, thank you for listening and thank you for your support. Until next time, eat well and be happy.